At one time or another in our lives, many or all of us will have owned a dog or a cat. How many of you here in the audience currently either own one or have owned one? Raise your hands. Okay. So, having spent time in the veterinary field as a veterinary assistant for a little over 7 years, I can tell you that not only does spaying and neutering prevent certain diseases as well as prolongs the life of cats and dogs, spaying and neutering also decreases the chances of certain unwanted behaviors from occurring in a human household. And finally, spaying and neutering plays an important role in population control. I'll begin my talk with a personal experience. A few years back, when I was working as a vet assistant at Blue Pearl Veterinary Partners in Franklin, Tennessee, one specific case does stand out in my mind. A female German Shepherd over the age of 5 was brought in for an emergency C-section. She was listless, lethargic, and had no interest in either eating or drinking. During the procedure, we discovered that the patient had a litter of 11 puppies. Sadly, only the patient and one puppy survived. What had occurred here was pyometra, a secondary infection that had made the uterus fill up with pus, damaged tissue, and it also increased the uterus up to 3 times its normal size. The main cause was that the owners had made the decision to not have their pet spayed at the proper time and age. This resulted in unwanted medical expenses, the death of 10 puppies, and a very sick pet. But before I go any further, you may be wondering what exactly does it mean to spay or neuter a dog or a cat. A spay or a neuter is the surgical procedure where a veterinarian removes the animal's organs that are involved in the process of reproduction. A neuter is where the testes are removed from a male dog or cat. The uterus, ovaries, and other reproductive organs are removed from a female during a spay procedure. In a paper published by Austad, professor in the Department of Biology at the University of Birmingham in Alabama, and his postdoctoral associate, Jessica Hoffman, titled in an article, "Do Female Dogs Age Differently Than Male Dogs?" they found that spayed and neutered dogs live longer than intact animals. One study of over 3,000 British dogs that did analyze sex differences found that neutered female dogs were the longest lived sex, intact females the shortest lived, with males of either neutering status being intermediate in longevity. In that analysis, data were controlled for body size and restricted to dogs that died at 3 years of age or older. An underlying cause for this is due to the fact that the male and female reproductive systems are at risk for certain types of diseases that occur nowhere else in the body. Intact female cats and dogs are at risk for certain diseases and infections that include pyometra, uterine prolapse, and certain kinds of neoplasia or cancer. Intact male cats and dogs are at risk for developing perianal adenomas, testicular cancer, and prostatic abscesses, among other things. In both cats and dogs, it has been widely accepted that spaying and neutering reduces the risk of mammary neoplasia or cancer. These infections and diseases are expensive to diagnose and treat. Different hormones, such as estrogen and testosterone, play a major role in the growth and development and function of the male and female reproductive systems. However, unfortunately, these hormones can also affect an animal's behavior, many of which are considered undesirable in a human household. These behaviors include aggression, urinating or spraying, loud vocalization, and roaming. Spaying or neutering can decrease these undesirable behaviors. However, it is important to note that these behavioral traits will not be completely eliminated. The overpopulation of dogs and cats has been a problem in the United States for many decades. In the late 90s, it was estimated that between 2 million dogs and 4 million cats were euthanized every year, with some estimates being as high as 18 million. In 2002, the Journal of Applied Animal Welfare Science published an article about a study on the effects of promoting a spay-neuter program to reduce the population of feral cats in a Florida county animal control service. The study began in 1995 when an animal control service implemented a cat sterilization program with the goal of reducing the number of cats euthanized, complaints of feral cats, and the overall costs affecting the service. Data was collected for 6 years. It was found that the percentage of impounded cats euthanized decreased before and after the program began, and the percentage that were adopted increased. Based on this evidence, spaying and neutering not only reduces overpopulation, but aids in more cats and dogs being placed in permanent homes. In summary, spaying and neutering reduces the risks of disease, controls pet populations, decreases undesirable behaviors within a household, and expands a dog's or cat's longevity. Thank you for your time and attention in listening to this talk today.